Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Buddy Study Group. And this is a session I'm super excited for because a lot of work has gone into what we're going to go over today. And I think, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't claim myself to be the Buddy INS historian, though I have been here for a while. This is probably the biggest single day release of products that we've ever had here. And it just so happens to be for the individual long-term care side of the house. So you're going to see really three tools that we're going to debut and demo for you and get your feedback on, answer your questions on. And so that is our individual product buddy tool, our individual quick quote tool, and our all new AI advisor. So three tools to go through. I think they all work together really well to help you make your long-term care business a bit more efficient, and they kind of work in different ways to do that. So whether it's giving you back more time, helping you simplify, the recommendation process, help your clients make simpler and clearer decisions, whatever it may be, we hope this kind of helps you take your practice to the next level, not uprooting your normal process with long-term care, but really more enhancing that process. So I'm excited to take you through these items today. Mark's going to cover the individual quick quote. I'll cover the other two tools. As we go through this, feel free to ask any questions. If you'd like to submit anything as kind of a test for the tool, feel free to let us know. And these tools are just released. We're constantly making tweaks on them, but we always want to hear from you if something, looks out of place, or if you have something you think could be improved, or you see a typo, whatever it may be. Feel free to let us know. We want these tools to be something that you really enjoy, and that means we want to intake your feedback to get closer and closer to that with each iteration. So without further ado, Mark, do you have anything you want to say to the folks before we show it off?
I know, just appreciate all everyone's support. That's what's making this become a reality for us. And like Jason said, this is just our first release, version 1.0 on these things. So we don't expect perfection. So just again, let us know what that feedback is, and we can update it very quickly. And there's a way that Jason will show you that we can get your feedback to make it really easy when you see something and have feedback just to give it back to us that way.
Yep. Awesome. So I'll dive right into it. If you are on the worksite study groups or you work with us on the group side, you may be familiar with how these two products will work, but these are calibrated for the individual market, which, turns out to be quite an effort to do given the amount of carriers, the amount of nuance we have. But I'll show you where we've started for each of these tools, and we'll talk a little bit about where we plan to go with each of these tools for our 1.1, 1.2, 2.0 sort of releases, because we do have roadmaps for each of these that I'll kind of briefly discuss with you. But in the buddy system, you have your dashboard, and you can see we've got a lot more items on the sales toolbar here. What we are going to do is have the ability to toggle between individual and group in the future, so these will be kind of sorted out for you. But individual product buddy is where we're going to start here. And as you can see, this is kind of a step-by-step process. So I think it's worth your time, even if you don't make this, a hard and fast part of your on a meeting with a client process. I think it's worth coming into these tools and just giving a check to things, to prepare for any meeting. It can help you do so really, really quickly. So our individual product buddy tool, just like the group tool, is designed to help you find good product recommendations for your client, given the client that you're talking to, right? So the goal here is to input a few pieces of super easy information to grab from, your client, and to get recommended at this point a product type that is most ideal for your client based on the inputs that you put into the tool. So we have four product types that we're mainly recommending based on the client. So life plus long-term care extension. That's your hybrid life and long-term care. LTCi is your traditional long-term care, short-term care, and annuity long-term care. Those are the four product types that we're working with right now. So based on what you enter into this tool, let's say I'm working with somebody who's age 60, you can see that even from 55 to 60, we have recommendations changing a little bit. But let's say I'm working with somebody who's 60 and they're in Kansas, and then we come to the health assessment. So below the tool, we have some definitions of what each health assessment sort of you know uh, input actually means from our point of view. So we have excellent health, we have average health, substandard, and poor. Excellent is going to be kind of your virtually spotless health history, preferred ratings kind of client that you're dealing with. Poor health is borderline uninsurable, if not uninsurable. Okay, so there's kind of a spectrum there. And of course, when you're meeting with clients, everybody thinks they're in excellent health. But once you're able to kind of pre-qualify that client, you should have a good idea of where they might fall, give or take a category here. So let's just say we've got somebody in, we'll call it average health. Okay. And then you'll put preferred funding in here. So you have the option to choose pay as you go, recurring pay, single pay, lump sum, or a limited pay. So a 10 pay or 5 pay, whatever it may be, some sort of limited time pay. I'm going to leave it on any for now. And once you've got all these inputs in, you'll get an idea of what the system recommends or what the tool recommends first and foremost. So your top product type is going to be that kind of first recommendation. Of course, there can be great recommendations on down the line, especially as you learn more about your client. But understanding right here that the system has recommended traditional long-term care first, you can cycle through these options and really, the result you end up with is a one pager on that specific product type. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly download this and give you an idea of the one pager here. And what this is going to do is it's really going to provide you a leave behind for the client. And I think this can do a couple of things. It can be a reference piece for the client and a reminder for the client. So you can say, Mr. and Mrs. Client, I remember we talked about traditional long-term care and we talked about hybrid long-term care today. And I just want to leave you with these pieces so you can get an understanding and always refresh your memory on how these products work and just get to know a little bit more about these products before our next call, whatever that may be. So what we've done here is kind of highlight ideal candidates, and these are kind of based on the inputs you've put in to give people an idea of self-selection, right? This actually kind of sounds like me. Maybe I'm a good candidate for this product, right? So for traditional long-term care, we kind of give an ideal age range and give the full age range here. Preferred funding is generally how ideal clients for this plan generally like to or want to fund their long-term care. So a pay-as-you-go premium paid from income. What are the goals of kind of the ideal candidates here? Paying for future long-term care coverage in a way that fits their budget, that allows them to sort of save toward their other goals. And what kind of financial profile are they? Where are we finding them in their life? So pre-retirement, still working and saving, and generally doing their planning and contributing toward their goals using current income, understanding maybe who gets a really good deal here. So for traditional long-term care, men generally get great value for their money. Understanding where you kind of have to fall on the health assessment ranking, right? To be an ideal client, of course, some with average health can still get traditional long-term care policies, but just understanding generally where compared to other products where people fall on the spectrum for the most part. Financial need and understanding that business owners can deduct the premiums or HSA, HRA owners can also use these accounts to pay their premiums. But then we have bullet points as to why look at traditional long-term care, right? So we're talking about efficient coverage. Every dollar that you put into this plan goes to long-term care and long-term care alone. Understanding the partnership program, tax deductibility. Premiums are generally manageable as a pay-as-you-go premium. You can find your way to affordable premiums that allow you to plan without breaking the bank. Spousal discounts, right? Kind of getting the wheels turning about I can do this with my spouse, or because I'm married, I get a discount, things of that nature. And then understanding that we have really high value inflation growth, and then just kind of getting the client to understand, how do I get this out of my face? There we go. Um, Understanding for the client what the next steps are, right? Get back in, let's have another meeting, pre-qualify more in depth and figure out what carriers that we can qualify for, and then get a formal quote and apply, right? So this is a tool that will help aid you in your conversation, but it'll also help the client have something to chew on and keep their knowledge up and hopefully looking through some of these profiles here, understand that they might be a pretty good candidate and understand what's to like about this solution. So as you cycle through the product types,
And Jason, let me ask you a
mhm,
question, just
yeah,
to
go ahead.
kind of address in the chat. So do you see this more as an agent-facing tool or something that you would share with consumers or both?
I think it can be both. But for me, I think first and foremost, this would be something that I would use to prepare for a case. And I have a client and I've got, this bit of information about them, and I can um, really understand what are the recommended product types. I can take a look at what carriers may be available, especially based on the health assessment, state, and age, and I can learn a little bit about that product to start. So whatever carrier is kind of our number one here, so we have Mutual of Omaha here, you can understand why it might be a fit, right? So from a health standpoint, it's available to clients in excellent health, some in average, high long-term care leverage, understanding that we have a pretty decent range of inflation protection and years of coverage that we can look at, premiums, pay-as-you-go premiums, understanding that it's a reimbursement benefit, and one thing to really, really like about the product that stands out. So the highly customizable inflation protection is a big plus. So for me, it's kind of like getting myself up to speed, understanding what might be the most recommended product type, what might be the most recommended carrier. That gives me a leg up in understanding like how I will shop the market here, where I might start and provide a leave behind for the client after we've kind of had that introductory conversation. But you could use this with a client as well, right? You could actually ask them, how would you prefer to fund this plan? How would you, assess your health from completely spotless all the way down to lots of, health issues, right?
And
And
I would just kind of do it yourself first though, and then you can see
yes,
what the answer is going to look like, almost script it out, and then
yeah,
you'll know if it's a good fit for the conversation that you're going to have.
100%. So it can be both, but I would say this is definitely something that behind the scenes you want to use ahead of time, knowing what you know about the client, and use that to kind of understand where is this conversation going to go or going to start from a product perspective.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can see
Neat.
in each category we've got carriers here, and the number one carrier for this point for version 1.0 is going to give you bullet points on that carrier.
Yeah, I want to be careful to say that it's not like there's one size fits all
Correct.
recommendation for every client. And you have preferences too. So we want to show you what's available and go to Excellent Health real quick, Jason, just so I can
Hmm.
show a feature here. One of the values of this tool is that you can select a state like New York or California, and it's going to tell you what carriers even have products, which is one of the most common questions we get is what is there in New York? So you don't have to think about it or memorize it. You can come here and it will give you some ideas of where you might go just to start off with. But when we get to like some of the nuances, like Diane had asked, why is NGL not showing for average health? There's going to be a lot of wiggle room when we just have like a very
Yes.
discrete set, and we'll talk about the AI advisor where you can get deeper into the underwriting. Don't take it as the be all end all. We support all the carriers. We just know that certain carriers are going to really promote themselves as for like the healthiest clients, and that's how we think of NGL. It's kind of how they market themselves. It doesn't mean that they're not going to accept a client average health based on a particular condition, right? So just don't take that as the gospel there.
There's going to be some subjectivity. I kind of want there to be, so I can get feedback from as many people as possible as to I think this carrier should actually be down in average health. I think this carrier should be actually up in excellent health. I have a hard time kind of getting approvals for people I would consider average health. Part of it is to create a little disagreement so I can understand where everybody stands on this. If everybody kind of agreed or we made super safe decisions to make sure nobody disagreed with it, I don't think it would be a tool worth giving feedback on, using or understanding. It might not teach you anything, right? It might not give you an opportunity to teach us anything and kind of improve this tool. So that was kind of the reasoning behind it. I don't think all carriers are created equal. I don't think for a client, a carrier is always going to be excellent health. I think somebody who is, there's different flavors, right, of average, excellent, substandard health. Um, we're kind of trying to give the best answers we can with what information we have to sort on, and the rest, kind of as a community, I'm hoping that we can continue to improve this, right?
Yeah, and,
So,
and I'll add one other thing. This is just more like a philosophical thing too, right? You
yep.
may you may position long-term care differently, but what we're finding is for clients that are 65 plus, short-term care and annuities in the states where they're available tend not to be utilized maybe as much as they should be
Mhm.
because the value is good, the underwriting is good, you have less bad experiences. So that's why we're trying to get there to be more focused on those. But like you said, you're going to know your client best and you're going to know when to position a new product. In this case, like Jason was showing, he clicked on LTCi and Banker's Life shows up. You might say, I've never looked at Banker's Life, maybe because it's, a career company. So you can kind of go from there and use this as a suggestion to do more research. Not to make a suggestion, but just to do more research.
Yep.
So Billy had asked, can you add a link to the available carrier's website or the policy information specifically? That's a great question because to do more research, you might go to a different part of the buddy system, which Jason can show you how to get that information. So you can
Individual
kind of go from there.
solutions right here
Totally.
is going to have all of our kind of product database of information on each of these carriers, including in some cases guides to introduce you to a certain product type if you haven't worked with it much. But in this case, Banker's Life under alternative. Unfortunately, I'm having issues moving it up to traditional. That's really where it should live. Banker's Life is under alternative products for the time being, but you can get some information on it there. But yeah, we're hoping that this will expose you not only to new carriers, but new product types, understanding in those tough states what might be available, and really kind of give you the start of your case, right? So I encourage you to just kind of play around with this a bit and definitely help us understand where we might have holes, what we can do to improve as far as bullet points, as far as the one pagers, all of those items, and you'll get a better understanding of just in general what goes into kind of the algorithm of this product. And go ahead, Mark.
Yeah. So if you have feedback, okay, so you see something, it doesn't look right, it's very easy for us to update the algorithm. What's the best way, Jason, for them to give feedback so that we can make those changes?
There's a big red button on this right-hand side that says feedback. Reply with whatever smiley you like. I would assume you don't hate us, but you can reply with whatever smiley you like. And then you can say, you know, using product buddy, I think this carrier should be excellent health. and you can hit next and submit your feedback from there. It goes directly to us. We're able to, um, you know, see your feedback, put it on the queue for changes if we feel like it's something that needs a change immediately, or especially, I don't see this carrier in this state, and they should be, right? That's a really good piece of feedback to leave me, or anything that you notice that's actually out of place from a true false perspective, that's the highest tier of feedback I'm trying to grab. If there's an actual inaccuracy, I of course want to hear if we have philosophical differences as far as carriers, product types, what's recommended based on age, health, whatever. But if you see something that is a true false, like inaccuracy that needs to be changed, that's my highest priority. So definitely use this button to get that feedback over to me, and we'll get our team on it to make that change for you. And anything on the one pagers as well, anything on the bullet points. We've had some early feedback users give us some really great feedback that we've used to fine tune these. So definitely feel free to let us know about that. And then just to give you some items that we plan for the roadmaps, obviously right now we're just showing bullet points for the number one selected carrier, but all of these do have their own bullet points. So in a future update, you will be able to cycle through each of the carriers. You're not able to at this moment, and each of those carriers will have their own one pagers. So actually being able to click and get an idea of the product type, you can leave a product type a one pager with somebody to help them understand the product better, but then you'll be able to click on each carrier and get a carrier specific one pager as a leave behind for that client as well. So that's an update we're really, really excited about. And of course, again, we're still really happy with the shape that it's in right now, but we know there are things to tweak. There are still things that we're tweaking right now, but this is in good enough shape to get this in everybody's hands and start giving you guys some value as far as understanding, what you have available to you first and foremost, and what might be recommended. So really just helping to jumpstart your cases with this.
And the other thing I'll mention, other piece of good news is that you're not, there's no extra cost to these extra tools that we're putting into the portal.
Right.
So whatever level you're currently on, you're going to get access to these as additional value. And that's really what we're here to do is just keep providing more value. So hopefully, giving us feedback, we can make them better, but just keep in mind that it's not like, it's going to cost you anything extra for it.
Also, let me know, if you've had cases where you found this useful, hey, like I didn't even think about the fact that I'm working out of state with this client. It's a short-term care state. I'm not normally in a short-term care state, so this helped me understand that I have availability there to work with my challenging client, or I feel like I could use this for my cases, or I don't feel like this is actually useful to me in working with my cases, or I had a client who really liked the one pager, anything like that. We always love to hear as well. You don't need to use the formal feedback for that. I would, you know, take a testimonial via email, good or bad. But for anything related to the tool, philosophically or accuracy related, definitely use this red feedback button. And feel free to include your name and email so that I can get back to you. That would be the big one. Um, so I think that's what we've got for individual product buddy. And you can also use this arrow at the top because this can be kind of an all-in-one sales process if you'd like it to be, kind of step by step. You can take it over to the individual quick quote. If you've scripted kind of product buddy ahead and are sharing that with a client, you can also show them the individual quick quote, which is designed to be an easier to digest version of Benefit Buddy to help your clients get a really quick idea of the cost of long-term care early on in the conversation. And if they want to dive deeper or you want to show other concepts, that's where you can use the full Benefit Buddy tool to sort of complement that. So, Mark, I'm gonna let you demo this one because you're our calculator extraordinaire.
Oh, okay. I was gonna do it on yours, but I'll show
Oh,
mine. It's all good.
that could have been Vanna White.
It worked out. So individual quick quote. So we still have access to the full benefit buddy. Hopefully you guys are getting good value out of that. So if you want to do, comprehensive planning, custom LTCi, comparing to the cost of care self-funding, you're going to want to go the benefit buddy route, whether it's the save plan or whether you're starting to create a plan. So just a reminder here, this is not going away. This hasn't changed. This is more of the comprehensive planning tool. But we've seen over time just more and more use cases where we could get something quick, right? You've gotten a basic recommendation, you want to research some more, but you want to get an idea of what it's going to cost. And again, oops, sorry, wrong one. Individual quick quote. This is going to help you get to a quick answer. So put in the current age for your client. Let's say we're working with a 55-year-old client. Claim age 80, 85, whatever you want to use here as well is going to project out those total costs, male or female. And monthly benefit 3,000 and 9,000 a month. And what this is going to do for you is between traditional LTC and hybrid, it's going to give you an idea of what a pay-as-you-go price is going to look like. Okay. So could be a good way to just get a quick answer to that, get to a budget perspective. We originally built it to that, agent or consumer question, Jason, I asked you. We originally built it for consumer use, actually, for landing pages. And we embed these calculators for some of our partners so that their client can get a quick price point before they talk to a specialist. Because some people just need that comfort, to know that it can be very affordable when they're first exploring this. But we wanted to also give you access, or maybe a financial advisor you work with access to something where they can get that comfort as well before they make a referral to you.
You
So
took the
that's
words right out of my mouth there, Mark. I think referral partners can be a huge audience for these tools, just as, actual long-term care specialists can. I
Mhm.
think we can get more out of our referral partners the more educated they are on the conversation. So even going through this exercise with a referral partner can help that partner understand their market and if they, would like to be a member of the buddy system as well, they can kind of use this for the initial conversation to get it over to you for the more in-depth. So there's lots of different, um, you know, audiences and implications for this.
Yeah. And this is kind of again the version 1.0, so looking for feedback. We're not trying to necessarily build this yet into something comprehensive where you can change the inflation or the benefit periods. You'll see it says this assumes a 3% inflation, 6-year benefit period. But we are open to adding annuity, long-term care, short-term care to here as well. We are open to expanding this so you can do some side-by-side comparisons, almost like Stratecision. But we're looking for feedback there where we should invest time and resources. Right now, our goal is to kind of bring these to you guys to get some experience with and to see where your successes are. But as you give us that feedback, we'll then put together a roadmap and figure out where we want to go for this in the future.
Yep. Um, I think if we add too many features to this, we'll essentially be rebuilding Benefit Buddy. So try to think of it from that lens of if I'm working with a referral partner or just having a very introductory conversation with somebody about long-term care, what are the things they might like to see? And one of the things as well, Mark, is we've got some educational copy underneath the calculator, but we also have buttons. So if you would like to embed this on your website, you can fill out that form to show interest.
So here's the form. One thing I will also mention is this also reflects a little bit of my bias as well, which is I think that starting off with a recurring pay option gets a lot of people more comfortable with moving forward, even with a single pay option. So as you start off with this and you think your client is going to be more interested in a 10 pay or annual premium, that's okay. Because that's why we have the total premiums here. When you show them a single premium option, guess what? It's probably going to be 150,000 single premium or less because when you prepay those premiums, right, it's less than if you pay them over time in total. So I think it also helps you kind of like position this into a different type of policy in terms of the premium payment. But I think you'll have a lot of success with starting off with recurring pay with most people because again, it's affordability that is keeping people from buying long-term care if their health isn't, a factor. Do you want to jump to the AI advisor? Let me know if you want to switch it back over.
Sure. Yeah. I think, again, think of this as a way to have your lightweight conversation and generate some questions, right? What can we do to give me the same monthly long-term care benefit that I'm seeing here, but bring the premium down, right? That's where the full version of Benefit Buddy works really well with this. So you can look at different benefit periods. You can look at different inflation protection levels. You can look at a number of different things. So I think it's a nice complement to Benefit Buddy and it's kind of quick quote form here.
Yeah, I use it all the time. I use it, like to your point, even without a client, just to get an idea of how things compare, like traditional versus hybrid in a particular situation, right? So it's easy
Right.
to just get a general idea this way.
Yep. So why don't we show off the AI advisor? Now, this is the most beta of our tools. We're still kind of making tweaks here and evaluating responses and things of that nature. But I think the way we can improve these tools and especially the AI advisor and get it to a point where it's humming on all cylinders is to really have you all have some chats with the AI advisor, get an idea of, how helpful or not helpful your answer was. Give us feedback on that, and we can live in real time. I can kind of be the professor of the AI advisor and say, hey, when you gave this answer, we really were expecting an answer more like this so that the answers improve in real time. So this is something that as people use this, as they give us kind of feedback on the quality of their answer, we can continue to adjust this and continue to make it even better. But you can see we start off with some dialogue. I'm an AI advisor designed to answer questions about long-term care products and underwriting. Still learning, so please make sure to double check any responses by using sales guides for individual and group long-term care, and you can find those here, or by pre-qualifying your client with underwriters. In certain cases, if the AI advisor believes you are speaking about an actual health condition, it will link you to the underwriting buddy document that we have from previously, but you can start by asking this questions about long-term care. And again, it's going to take some time. It's going to take a lot of dialogues and tweaking to dial this in. But does anybody want to ask the AI advisor a question? Be it Mark, be it somebody from the audience.
Sure. Sure. So which carrier is best for diabetes? Try that one.
Okay. Okay. So we've got a couple of carrier offerings here. And it's splitting it between diabetes with insulin, diabetes without insulin. As you can see, it's not an all-encompassing list. So maybe to a response like this, we may add a few more carriers to the expected response, whatever it may be, but it's giving us some good information to start. Mutual of Omaha may offer class one for those controlled and stable with no other comorbidities and less than 50 units of insulin per day. Will consider for all products on the One America side, provided that there is no coexisting coronary or vascular history. NGL, I may want to double check. I haven't actually seen this in the responses before, but may offer options for those with controlled diabetes and less than 50 units of insulin per day. That one I may have a bone to pick with. But diabetes without insulin, good blood sugar control from NGL, A1C consistently 6.5 to 7.5 may qualify. And Premier is just kind of their approved, right? Mutual of Omaha offers Select for those controlled and stable with diet and exercise or oral medications. One America will consider for all products. So a pretty helpful response to start, understanding that there's a difference between without insulin, understanding that there are carriers that will offer with, that will offer without. And a little message at the bottom. It's important to pre-qualify with these carriers directly to get the most accurate information based on their health status. There could be a whole bunch of other conditions that they're dealing with, which could make this a different story. But it does offer a link here, and that would link directly to our underwriting buddy document. So you can actually come in here and get more information, right? So you could actually come in here, click diabetes with insulin, diabetes, no insulin, and get even more of a carrier list here.
Yeah, it's been trained on that document too. So a lot of the answers are coming directly from that underwriting buddy. But the main theme here, just like the other tools, is don't use this as a be all end all underwriter. Use this as an idea generator. Hey, I didn't think about that carrier. Let me do further research. Okay, and that's true of all AI and any AI tools you use outside of long-term care as well, is they're not going to yet be smart enough to be a virtual underwriter. But over time, like Jason was saying, they are going to improve. I would also
Yep,
mention if you click on the study groups under resources, um, you'll see we have the two documents bookmarked here, Underwriting Buddy, Product Buddy, right here. So these are the two guides that we've trained it on. So
yep,
everything that you're hearing is coming from those two guides currently. We're going to explore more with some of the carriers' direct underwriting guides, but again, keeping those up to date and some of the nuances of certain carriers, we still have to do a lot of testing on. So for now, we're keeping it pretty simple and just going with kind of the guides that Jason put together in
yep.
that section.
And here is an idea of how to best leave feedback. So say I've gotten this response and I gave you some, items that even I would have a bone to pick with the AI about. NGL. I would leave feedback and say, I don't think that NGL actually takes independent, takes insulin dependent diabetics. May want to check that one.
Yeah. And just like what Jason was saying before, what we'll do is we will update the guide and re-upload it to retrain it on that information. So it should hopefully learn. But again, AI is not something predictable. We'll have to see how effective it is when we re-ask it that same question.
Yeah, and this is not something that is just used by coming here on the page. You could be anywhere. You could be in the individual sales guide, whatever it may be looking at some of the carriers here and just think of a question. You can pop up this little bubble on the sidebar and have it open on any page in the buddy system. So you can keep this conversation going. One of the other things that you're going to want to do is if you want to move on to a brand new chat, you can have a dialogue back and forth with the AI advisor. So if you feel like you've gotten a decent enough answer but want to go further, you can ask it further questions to kind of refine the answer. But you can also hit these three dots up here, end the chat, start a new chat, or view any recent chats. So if you want to start a new chat, it'll clear everything out and you can start from the beginning. But I'll say it again, what carrier is best for diabetes? If your carrier doesn't come up, you can ask it, how does, um, you could say, how does Nationwide view diabetes? Because I didn't see that listed there. So you can get information specific to Nationwide about that. And again, this is just kind of going to provide you some of the ideas, breadcrumbs you need to take that next step, which you were going to have to take anyway, which was reviewing with an underwriter. So um, it's very, very, very important to kind of the future efficacy of this tool and making sure that it's in a really good spot to give high quality answers as often as possible, that you're using that red feedback button. Now it's gone for me because I submitted feedback already, but I do not be afraid to pepper us with feedback regarding how an answer was kind of received after doing your research when you've interfaced with the AI chatbot. So if you feel an answer was particularly satisfying, you can let me know. I can tell the bot that it's being a good bot. If your answer was not particularly satisfying or you see an inaccuracy, I can actually tweak that response in real time so that it'll give a better response to specific questions like that going forward. So I would say, all in all, this is kind of catch-all. I just kind of want to come in here and get some instant gratification if I can. I have a question about anything and everything, long-term care. What kind of answer can I get? I think the AI advisor is a hugely good tool for that and will get better and better over time. But the individual product buddy is really kind of where I would start prepping for a case. I need to understand what products are available to me first and foremost, right? I can hit this arrow and go over the individual quick quote, just get a super quick idea of the pricing. If I have any other questions, I can go straight to the AI advisor or even pop it up in this window here, right? And have a discussion about any other questions that might not be able to be answered through the first two tools. And then, especially if you are somebody who is on our study groups, community member, but long-term care is not necessarily your major, when you're through with the individual quick quote, you can actually hit next step and you can, submit a referral or join kind of the community here. So, um, that is kind of our end-to-end process here. These are the three tools we have. I just want to get an idea from everyone if there are any questions out there. Okay, thank you, Diane, for that. I'll actually train the bot on that answer right now. But yeah, the AI advisor's responses should also point you to either of our sales guides, whether you're talking individual or group products. So it will point you to that correct sales guide using a link, or it'll point you to Underwriting Buddy if it believes you're talking about a health condition. But are there any other kind of questions, comments, feedback from everyone out there? Mark, you're on mute if you're trying to.
Sorry, someone sent me some direct messages about other industry tools. And as you guys know, we support everything that raises the LTC industry. So I will mention, that there are some underwriting AI tools being developed out there that we would encourage you to try and to use. Our goal is to add something quick and easy without extra cost to it. But if it's something that you're finding to be valuable day in, day out for your business, I would absolutely spend the money to purchase the software to do it. Same thing with StratDecision, right? We were big supporters of Insight and StratDecision and the quoting tools as well. So don't think of it as an either or equation. Just think of it as, we fill a particular role with getting you started, maybe finding that product that you haven't seen before or you haven't explored before. And as you get deeper into the process and want something that's going to give you quotes from the carriers, you can combine that with some of the other tools out there that you're comfortable with. So hopefully that helps too, but we're not here to try to replace, the tools that you find valuable. We want to enhance everything that's going on out there.
100%.
Um, Now, I know that somebody had mentioned Water Lily to me. I'm not as familiar with what the capabilities are. I know they do like future cost of care projections, but if they have anything related to underwriting, definitely feel free to unmute and let us know. Um, PathWorks AI is another good one that I'll mention that's doing long-term care underwriting. If you haven't heard of PathWorks, I would check them out as well. But anybody have any feedback on anything else that they've seen in the industry they want to share with the rest of the group?
Well, we just have something from Bob in the chat saying, you know, understanding that you're trying to paint a broad cost picture with the quick quote, it may be helpful to know which carrier the pricing is based on.
Yeah, great question. And the answer to that is we base the traditional on NGL and we base the hybrid on Nationwide Care Matters. So, but again, we try to do it illustrative because if you work with a Mutual of Omaha instead of an NGL, you're probably going to get a similar type of answer. So, but yes, that's who it's based on. Good question there. And I saw Suzanne unmuted, maybe had something to
Oh,
there.
I'm sorry, I had to hop off for a second. I was just curious. I know a few weeks ago you mentioned something about maybe Allstate having some kind of a group plan for
Mhm.
folks who were involved with Buddy INS, and I don't know if there's any
Sure.
updates on that.
Yeah, great question. Let me pull it up real quick because that'll give us a chance to look at the group quick quote. So as you can see with, oops, let me close our new AI friend. As you can see on the quoting, right, we have Allstate, no inflation. And you'll notice that there's another in the group quick quote that says Allstate 5% inflation for California and Utah.
Mhm.
So it looks like we're very close, Suzanne, to getting our proposal, which we've kind of built for Buddy INS being in California. We have access to that 5% inflation option. And
Okay.
if we're working with agents, which means essentially that you're a 1099 contractor with us,
Okay.
we can get access to this product for you and your employees potentially. So we'll announce that as soon as we get the formal proposal, but it looks very likely that we can proceed forward with that. There may be some
Okay.
state specific limitations. That's the one thing we're waiting back to hear from Allstate on compliance wise. If there are certain states that will preclude you from getting our California offer.
Got it.
But good question. And yes, that's, I think, really exciting because not only can you access the group market, but you can get it yourself, not just for your clients, but also for yourself. That's first thing we'd recommend, of course, you in this room doing, especially if you don't have a long-term care policy yet yourself.
And do you know any I guess you don't know details yet about the max that's going to be available, or do you have a sense?
Yeah, I have a sense that they're going to give us $150,000 guaranteed issue, which starts up at 9,000 a month, but with 5% inflation, as you can see, grows quite a lot. So you should have a
Um,
pretty robust guaranteed issue benefit available.
okay. So you're
For
saying that,
spouse
so, oh, I'm sorry, you said for spouse?
For spouse,
spouses,
it'll be a lower guaranteed issue, not as high as it would be for employees.
Any idea on that number or no?
Not yet. No,
Not
no, we're
yet.
still waiting to hear back and we'll go back and
Got
forth
it.
I'm sure, a little bit with them on that.
Got it. So what you're saying is that it sounds like people in other states can, if they're affiliated with you all, that could, they could take
Yes.
advantage regardless. Okay. Interesting.
Yep.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, so we'll kind of roll out more and trying to give you some ideas as to what the carrier is comfortable with, what we've seen work well in practice. But it will be really easy to enroll in it. Very likely it will just be a direct bill, an ACH bill. So just going through your own e-application, five-minute process, put in your billing information. And again, the key will be actively at work at least 20 hours a week. So it's a worksite product still.
Hmm.
18 to 70 years old for the LTC rider. Um, and then um, and then it would just be billed directly to whoever is enrolling. Um, Basically, as soon as you are getting a contract for the product, then you're eligible for the guaranteed issue within 45 days. So you're almost like a new hire is the way to think of it, where
Hmm.
you're actively at work, you're eligible for the guaranteed issue amount.
Got it. And then for folks who, if we're not for ours, not for us, but like if we're looking to do, what is the minimum group size on this one?
So for Allstate in general, it's you can go down to 3 lives, which is also why they're comfortable allowing us to offer it to other agencies because
Hmm.
again, many of you in the audience might have be a part of an employer that has 3 employees and would be able to get your own offer. The biggest difference here would be that it's already set up for California, and you don't have to go through a whole setup process for the group. You can just kind of go through the
Got
enrollment
it.
process that we've already designed for you.
Uh-huh. Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I'm glad to see your interest, Suzanne. Thanks for the feedback there.
Oh, sure.
yeah, that generated a couple of questions that I believe you already answered, but also had a question about Allstate moving to standard. That was a question that was out there. So why don't we put a
Yeah,
wrap on the tools demo that we have, and then we'll answer any other questions. So
sure.
again, feel free to get in, use the tools, send us your feedback. I already see some of you talking to AI Advisor, which is pretty cool. So in real time, I'm able to kind of evaluate and train some of the responses. But just make sure to give us any feedback that you have, and we're here for your support, and we'll be constantly improving these as we go.
Yep. Do you want me to address the Allstate standard question?
Sure. One more thing I forgot to say though is that
Mhm.
roadmap for AI Advisor is we're going to have some suggested prompts so you can get an idea of how to ask questions of the AI Advisor in order to kind of get the best, most accurate responses. So that'll be coming up too, so you can dive right into conversations. All right, go ahead, Mark.
So yeah, officially we learned about this last year that, Allstate may have a new parent company. We were a little concerned at the time, just to be quite honest, that it would be like a private equity company. It actually ended up being the Standard, which is another highly rated, great reputation insurance company. So that was a really positive transaction from our perspective. It officially closed this week, actually. So now it's official. They probably won't rebrand as the Standard officially, maybe until next year from a consumer perspective. That's going to take a lot more time, I think. But what we're seeing is all positives. More access to products, resources. They're they're positioning themselves as a long-term care first carrier. I think it may be their best-selling worksite product now. So to Bob's question, yeah, we're kind of excited about the fact that we have a carrier that's really trying to set the standard, especially on the product side, the feature side for what we're seeing in the worksite market. But we still obviously have great relationships and really believe in some of the other carriers that are out there too. And it's kind of like what Karen, who's on this call, tells me there's every carrier gets their turn in the barrel, right? Where they have something that's new that comes out and then they win market share and the other carriers compete. So, we expect to see that competition continuing and new features coming out every few months here. I hope I quoted you well there, Karen. Got the thumbs up. Thank you. I know Gretchen had to jump off. She had a personal call come up. Jason, anything else we want to wrap up with?
I think that's like our major focus is the tools. So feel free to give us whatever feedback you have there, be it helpful or not helpful, be it accurate or not accurate, be it philosophical disagreement or agreement. We're at a point right now where we wanted to get these out, knowing that they weren't 110% perfect so that you guys could take advantage of them early enough and help us to really refine them because you guys are boots on the ground. So as with everything, we couldn't do it without you, but this specifically, is really, really important to us. But other than that, Mark, this is what I've been focused on, so I don't really have much else to put out for everyone. So
Okay.
unless you have
Well,
anything we
I'll
can
add
wrap
one
up with.
thing. I'll add this as a teaser. AI, I know it's scary to a lot of people. From our perspective, I think it's going to really enhance the ease of doing business. And you know what I've always said, it's just the ease of doing business in long-term care that's the killer right now. I think that's why our market is down, is the cares are really hard to work with. So don't be afraid, embrace it. It's not going to replace your job. The relationships are so much more important, right, than a robot working with your clients. And I'll tell you some of the areas we're going in with AI. Just now might be a good place to end it here, Jason, is on our group side, especially where we're seeing very high volume and a lot of activity levels. We're starting to use AI to schedule appointments for agents. So they can kind of figure out who's really interested in meeting with a specialist and it's on your calendar. That would be nice, right? Virtual assistant,
Super
right?
nice.
Booking meetings for you. So that's a big one. We actually onboarding with them in 4 minutes. So we're jumping off to jump onto that call. We're also starting to use AI with another technology partner to answer FAQs during our enrollments. Right? It can learn some of the information that we always get about the group products or the group process and help answer those questions for clients 24/7. Would you like it if clients didn't waste your time with really basic questions? AI can help you there too. So there's a lot of great ways to have an agent assisted AI. And that's our goal here is to elevate you to use your time. Your time is valuable and how to use that, make best use of your time. That's really the key here. So I hope that helps, but that's where we're going to focus our attention with AI.
We know we work with the highest quality of specialists, and we've always thought, like, how can we help them do more and really it's just giving time back, right? The more time we can give you back, we know you guys are the most efficient with your time. So that's really where a lot of these come from, where the mentality, the inspiration came from. And yeah, I would say with the AI advisor, first start using it as if, it's fun. I want to see what answers come out of the box, right? And help with the feedback, and then you will start to find yourself very, very surprised at the quality of responses that come back over time. But that's it. It's been fun thinking about these, planning these, building these, and hopefully you guys have fun playing around with them, and I'll certainly have fun improving them on the back end with your help. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it, and we'll see you this time next week. Have a good one, everyone.
Mm.